They also find that, boy, there are consequences to this behavior. You read the next part of that chapter, childbirth will never be the same again, and work will never be the same again, and there are consequences to rebellion. There always are. There still are for you and me. You may decide, I've made a mistake, I want to turn back and reconnect to God, but you can't undo what you've done. You've got to make amends as you can, but many in this room will tell you that the fallenness of humanity means that there are scars and there are things that you do to your body or to your family or to your relationships or to your community you can't undo. That's why we have grace. So we can't fix what we've broken. And they certainly couldn't then, and I'm here to tell you we can't do it today. Now, it's easy to read this story and to kind of land on the fact that this is really a sad predictor of the human race. That this begins what is, the kind of downward spiral of fallenness, and we could make everybody in the room kind of sad by talking about all the examples of fallen, decadent behavior in our culture, couldn't we? It wouldn't take a lot, and a lot of preachers do. They just kind of keep harping on the bad news, and ain't it awful, and ain't it bad, and look at how far the world has fallen from what God intended. And all that is true, but that's not really the point of the story or even the purpose of the church. It's not to make people feel so bad. The point of the story and the purpose of the church is to say, there's a better way. Mike called his book The Gospel of Yes, with good reason. For all the bad news there is, not just in Genesis 3, but in everyday sense, here's the good news. God is love. And God can love not just Adam and Eve, but you and me, in spite of all of our secrets and our rebellion and all our resistance and going our own way. And that if you want an unrelenting love and acceptance from God and a new vision of life and a new way of living life, then you've come to the right place. That's good news. It's not bad news, it's good news. It's called the gospel. Remember, God came looking for these two wayward souls. Where are you? He didn't stand back with his arms crossed thinking, what have they done now? He didn't reject them and go off, close them out. He came looking. He knew where they were. He knows where you are. He knows what you do know. He knows your secrets, right? I may not know them. Your spouse may not know them. Your mommy and daddy may not know them. He knows them. And he still loves you. And he's still looking for you. Do you understand what started in the garden? It's this remarkable love affair God has with you. That despite whatever it is you've got to hide and would never admit, he still loves you. And he can still transform you and use you for the good of the kingdom. It isn't over. Oh, that may be the best news the world has ever heard if we could hear it. Instead, we're hiding behind our tree, thinking this might be too good to be true. Really? Really? He really knows that about me? No. Yes. Yes. Just ask the litany of saints across the ages. Turn and ask the people on your pew, do you think God could love me the way I am? Well, you betcha. We know that because of what happens with the rest of the story. Why did Jesus come? To put a face to that kind of love. To say, you don't have to hide behind the tree. You don't have to be ashamed and embarrassed. You can bring all of that to me and take it upon me and put it on a cross and be forgiven. It's a little hard to believe. We're a lot more like Adam and Eve than we want to admit.